Good morning and welcome to this Friday's edition of A View from the House. My name is Lukhanya Khalata. In our program today, we recap on this week's member statements in the National Assembly. We look specifically at statements on the school book saga in Limpopo, which had led to heated interaction between the ruling party and the opposition. We also continue our coverage of the highlights of the NCOP's Local Government Summit, where the spotlight fell on the state of local government in South Africa. Now, during the long winter recess, members of parliament spent much of their time in their constituencies on oversight visits and study tours. During this time, they interact with communities on a range of issues. The contents of those interactions often find its way to the National Assembly in the form of member statements. It's one of those oversight tools available to members to bring matters of national and local interest to the attention of Parliament and the Executive. The textbook crisis in Limpopo was high on members' minds during member statements this week. It was first raised by the official opposition. The DA's Shadow Minister of Basic Education, Mrs. Annette Lovemore, told the House that she had brought back with her a stack of letters from high school children in Limpopo. These letters were addressed to the President.
In this sitting, the Democratic Alliance will be using its full allocation of member statements to read out letters to the President sent to us by high school children from the Mopani district in Limpopo. We intend to deliver the letters to the President in a few weeks' time. These letters are a testament to the real impact that the lack of textbooks in Limpopo have had on learners, despite the Basic Education Department's attempts to convince people otherwise. But these letters also reveal the full extent of the Education Department's failure to provide a basic education service that is free from fear, free from hardship, and free from corruption. In the words of one school child, "Dear President, we need more educators and lack subjects. We need more books because learners are suffering. Now at my school, things are not okay because learners and teachers are crying. Yours faithfully, Morwane."
The school book saga was also on the minds of several other political parties. Members were also concerned about violence at schools. We pick up on the statement of Mr. William Madisha, who himself is from Limpopo.
The governing party has lost its moral compass. It is willing to punish young school-going South Africans who were supposed to benefit from post-apartheid and education in order to enrich politically connected comrades through dodgy school book attenders.
The IFP was shocked to learn of the death of Pendolo Mzolweni, a learner at a Kakasini Secondary School in Umlazi, KwaZulu-Natal, who was stabbed by unknown assailants on school grounds. The motive behind the killing seems to revolve around the 500 rand he was carrying to pay for his matric dance. These assailants were trespassing on school property when this incident occurred, which shows a major lapse in security measures at our schools, because this was the sixth knife-related incident at a KwaZulu-Natal school. Questions need to be asked as to why it was so easy for non-learners to enter school grounds without meeting any resistance, attack the learner, and get away without being stopped or identified.
This country is experiencing a disaster in education. It is like watching a horror movie, seeing the status of education in Limpopo. It is totally unacceptable that the public is forced to get a court interdict to deliver textbooks, which is basic, a constitutional right in our new democracy. Minister Motshekga owes this country an explanation. We demand a full report not only on Limpopo, but in fact the whole country. There are provinces that are not discussed who are now experiencing the same problems. In the Northwest Province just yesterday, the Delareeville Primary School in my constituency was told that during an inspection that books are being delivered to the regional office but to the wrong schools, and they don't know where these textbooks are.
This is an unedited letter from the young South African David Vomans of Limpopo. Dear President, we need safety in our school because people that are not attending school at my school come to steal our computers. We need more transport to our school because other students come to our school in wet clothes in rainy days, and they end up not concentrating because they feel cold. We need more teachers because others are still in hospital being ill, from David Vomans. Madam Speaker, this is an example of a simple request from a learner who wants to ensure he receives the best possible education. Thank you.
Recently, Honorable Lindiwe Mazibuko, the leader of DA in Parliament, challenged the ANC to match their textbook delivery in the Western Cape. Firstly, let us be clear, the ANC has regarded education as a key priority delivery area long before the DA ventured into the political scene. So clearly, the ANC cared about educating the majority of people in the country at the time when black children and Africans in particular were receiving substandard education back in 1976. Secondly, as the ruling party, the ANC commitment to education extends beyond merely one province, and as such focuses on the bigger picture rather than an island, and has a responsibility for all citizens and not merely the white electorate and the privileged residing in Cape Town like the DA does. Thirdly, we consider building more schools as vital to advancing and improving the quality of education, not closing down 27 schools purely because it is expedient, as the DA is planning to do in the Western Cape.
In his response, Deputy Minister of Basic Education Enver Surti said mistakes had been made and government had to face up to it. However, it wasn't all doom and gloom. Most learners, he said, did receive learning material.
Deputy Speaker, let me unequivocally convey my heartfelt apologies to those learners in Limpopo for the late delivery of textbooks. We neither wish to defend it or condone it. Let me also take heart and empathize with those learners who have written these very polite and eloquent letters to the President. At least we can take comfort in the fact that they are indeed literate and have a good command of the language. Let me perhaps, in saying what I say, try to explain to you that the challenges of education are enormous. We should recognize that in Limpopo, every grade 1 child, every grade 2 child, and every grade 3 child to whom textbooks were to be delivered but were not delivered had indeed, by the beginning of the year, received a workbook on literacy, on numeracy, on life skills, and on first additional language. So in other words, well, that's an apology, but at the same time, please, you want an explanation.
Order, honorable members, please.
The same applies to grade 2 learners.
Hear the Deputy Minister's explanation.
The same applies to the grade 3 learners. The same applies to the grade 10 learners who were going to receive textbooks but had received a free textbooks in mathematics and science.
Mr. Surti said hard lessons had been learned and steps are being taken to never again repeat what had happened in Limpopo.
Never before have we been able, has any government been able to basically deliver books at the rate that we are doing in terms of enhancing literacy and numeracy. Never before has this government or any other been able to test more than 6 million children on literacy and numeracy. Next month, every child between grade 1 and grade 6 is again going to be tested on literacy and numeracy so that we can determine precisely whether they've made progress and what kind of interventions are to be made. I raise this in the context of the fact that yes, indeed, what had occurred in Limpopo was not correct. We cannot condone it. We cannot defend it. And certainly we are going to learn lessons from it and ensure that it does not repeat itself. But we cannot be blind to other realities where efforts are being made to ensure that quality education is being provided. We've always argued that the right to basic education is an unqualified right.
Ministers are allowed to respond to statements, but after 4.5 minutes of listening to Mr. Surti, the DA and the Freedom Front Plus felt that he was way over his time. Meanwhile, an observation by the Deputy Speaker, Noma India Mfageto, while ruling on a point of order, added fuel to the fire.
There is a time limit in our rules for a minister to reply. and I humbly suggest that he has already exceeded his time.
The truth hurts. It's so hard to listen to the truth. With regard to the issues of
Minister, it is correct. I mean, unless there are other ministers that, or you're answering for all of them.
The reason why I speak for so long, that there were 6 issues that were raised by 6 different speakers, and I have a responsibility as a member of the executive.
No,
to respond.
can I appeal? Those members who raised, they didn't want to hear the answers. So don't respond. Your time is up.
The remark that you've just made is totally out of order. What you've just said is that members make statements but they don't want to hear responses.
No.
I want you to withdraw that, please.
Why I was saying that, while you were speaking, everybody was making noise.
Madam Speaker, you've recognized me. Can Chief Whip please have manners?
We demand that Mr. Watson withdraws what he says about the deputy
speaker. You will not withdraw.
Because it is totally out of order. And this house.
I demand that he now sits down and listens.
This house is not a place where you must debate with the speaker. It is a house where you must make an input and subject yourself to the rulings of the speaker.
With all due respect, if you as the chairperson in the House, the Deputy Speaker rules or says from the chair that the Minister does not have to answer because members do not want to hear the answer, that is completely unacceptable. It is not for the Deputy Speaker to make such a statement.
Honourable, the conduct of some members of the opposition was such that the Deputy Speaker had
the Chief Whip does not have carte blanche.
Had no option but to
Point of order, Madam Deputy Speaker.
When I said he's answering more than one question, still that continued. That's why I made a ruling that he mustn't respond, because I'm sure they don't want responses. Taking from that question as much and as well as the noise right through when you are speaking. I genuinely thought the members don't necessarily need the responses.
After the break, we pick up on highlights of the NCOP's Local Government Week and views expressed during a parliamentary seminar on the topic. Please stay with us.